Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice.
Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny!
So we have a Duergar Warlock. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. I don't know why I keep picking races that I can't pronounce, but there you go. Duergar. If I say a word that sounds similar, that's what I'm going for. You get it. From the inspiration, my page of inspiration that you're looking at right now, you can see that a few people have chosen to disregard the description that is listed in D&D Beyond / the wiki. The wiki's on the top and the D&D Beyond is just like a sentence. Doesn't really give you much information about the physical appearance of a Duergar. But they are bold, even the females, with ashen grey skin, because they grow up underground, deep in the mines, I guess, and they've sort of evolved to blend in with the rocks. Now, a lot of the inspiration pics that I found, particularly ones of lady Duergars, they still had hair. So I drew mine without hair, but I also gave her a hood. So it's I was going to do her without a hood, but then I had an idea to make her look all cool and warlocky, so she has a hood, but she doesn't have hair, so I stayed true to that. And she does have the ashen grey skin as she's supposed to. And let's get started. Duergar are dwarves whose ancestors were transformed by centuries living in the deepest places of the Underdark. So not just underground, but the Underdark. The Underdark is a realm which is apparently saturated with strange magical energy. So over generations, the Duergar absorbed traces of it, and it's changed how they are, so they're not just regular dwarves. Some of the traits that you get if you're playing as a Duergar include Duergar magic. Starting at 3rd level, you can cast Enlarge Reduce spell on yourself with this trait without requiring a magical component. At 5th level, you can also cast the invisibility spell on yourself. Dwarven Resilience, because you are still a dwarf, you have advantage on saving throws to make you avoid or end the poison condition on yourself. You also have resistance to poison damage. And another one called Psionic Fortitude, you have advantage on saving throws that you make to avoid or end the charmed or stunned condition on yourself. So the Duergar already have some magical stuff going on with them. And when you couple that with Warlock, you can make a very interesting character, I think. So the Warlock is a wielder of magic that is derived from a bargain with an extraplanar entity. Through pacts made with mysterious beings of supernatural power, Warlocks unlock magical effects both subtle and spectacular. Drawing on the ancient knowledge of beings such as Fey nobles, demons, devils, hags, and alien entities of the far realm, Warlocks piece together arcane secrets to bolster their own power. That's a very fancy way of saying that you made a deal with someone who's got a lot of magic, and they're going to give you some magic in exchange for favors to be named later, or maybe favors to be named immediately, and you basically always have an ulterior motive when you're a Warlock, because you're working for a big bad, usually. I've heard it said by someone in the D&D community, I think one of the writers maybe. I watch a lot of D&D stuff. I can't accurately credit whoever said this, but one of the differences between a Warlock and a Cleric is that a Warlock usually makes a deal. Well, firstly, they make a deal rather than worshipping someone, but they usually make a deal with someone that a Cleric would never worship. So usually not divine entities, but the evil versions of those. And in this case, the otherworldly patron that I'm going to have this character follow is going to be the Great Old One. So I'll put a quick screen cap of the description on the page now. I was very drawn to the example called Dendar the Night Serpent. I thought that was a very cool patron for this warlock to follow, because growing up in the Underdark, it is very like dark and spooky and snaky. You get it. It's creepy and cool. And Dendar sounds kind of warlocky as well. So not warlocky, dwarfy. Dendar sounds like something a dwarf might be called. So I feel like maybe this character, whose name will be Blake. Yeah, Blake's fine. Blake has grown up in a community who all worship Dendar the Night Serpent, I think. Or actually, no. I think it would be more interesting if they worship some like good god. Someone who's good. But maybe Blake came across some ancient thing that was buried in the Underdark, texts relating to the power of the Night Serpent. So she's accidentally come across this Great Old One, or conjured them or something, and gotten in communication with them, and Dendar has offered them power in exchange for going up to the surface and wreaking some havoc, making some chaos, having some fun, some old-fashioned evil fun. So I think that is, at least as far as Blake knows, the extent of it. What the Night Serpent actually wants remains to be seen. Stepping away from the character description right now, I need to address the terrible job I was doing with drawing hands. I did one that I was relatively happy with, and then the other one I just couldn't get the positioning right. Like, I wanted them to be different. They were meant to be doing different positions. But as you can see, I ended up just copying the one that I was kind of happy with and pasting it on the other side and flipping it, because I was having a bad hands drawing day, and yep, it is what it is sometimes. But it came out fine. It's fine. Whatever. I at least did the right number of fingers, which I frequently stuff up. And I'll either do too many or too few. But whatever. She's got the right number of fingers, and sometimes that's all you can really ask of me. Okay. If we take a look at Blake's abilities, she does have like above average or average for everything. Like, she doesn't have any negative stats. Her highest are Dex and Charisma, so she can be quite charming, or quite, I think, probably more intimidating. I don't know if she necessarily turns on the charm that often. I feel like maybe she's the kind of character who's usually intimidating and stoic, but there's some particular situation where the party goes into a tavern or somewhere, she has to be somewhere, that someone has to romance a particular person, and maybe the bard failed, but she steps up like, yeah, let me give this a go, and then just completely sweeps this guard or whoever off their feet and completely confuzzles and bamboozles the rest of the party, because normally she's such a stoic, no-nonsense kind of person that they didn't realize she could turn on the charm when she wanted to. And I think with dexterity, Blake is very good with setting traps and dismantling traps, and probably pickpocketing and being very stealthy as well. So she's a very sneaky kind of warlock, and I'm sure that will come in very handy in the context of an adventuring party. Speaking of which, I don't know if Blake would necessarily tell the adventuring party that she's a warlock, because this is one of the classes where you might want to keep it a secret that you're working for some like dark entity such as the Night Serpent. You might even sort of imply but never explicitly say that, like she could say that she's a rogue because she has such high dex that she can be very sneaky when she wants to be, or just like not explicitly say what her skill set is and then try and be very subtle and sneaky when casting spells and that sort of thing, because warlocks also don't have that many spell slots, so you do need to rely on other abilities like physical fighting and things like that, and of course being stealthy and setting traps and just being all around a sneaky clever person, I guess. I like the idea of characters keeping secrets from each other in a party. Like, not the players keeping secrets. Like, obviously the players should all know that you're playing as a warlock, but roleplay wise, I think it's a lot of fun to have the character lying to the other characters, especially in situations where they get called out for it and you have to sort of quickly think of an excuse or a lie, which would be charisma based, so she would be convincing as a liar. Of course, if your player who's playing this character rolls a 1, that would turn this into a 4. So if the person who's asking the questions gets higher than a 4, then they'll know that you're lying, but they won't necessarily know why you're lying or what you're lying about. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Anyway, thinking of the background of this character, normally when I talk about backgrounds with my characters, they aren't related to official backgrounds as part of the character creation process that you would look at in like D&D Beyond. So the guidebooks have a background category that give you certain skill proficiencies and equipment and languages. I haven't really focused on that much, but with the new Player's Handbook coming out, I understand that it's going to be a really important part of your character's setup, where you get feats based on what your upbringing was like. It makes a lot of sense, but I thought I'd have a quick look at the official list of backgrounds, and there was a lot. And one that stood out to me here was called Haunted One, where you're haunted by something so terrible you dare not speak of it. You've tried to bury it and run away from it to no avail. Basically, you get skill proficiencies with this one. Choose 2 from Arcana, Investigation, Religion, or Survival. So I would probably say Arcana and Survival make the most sense here, and in equipment you get a Monster Hunters pack, which is exciting. And basically you could say that, like, Blake maybe instead of lying about being a warlock, she doesn't fully understand that that's what she is. She might have unintentionally made a deal with the Night Serpent, and now the Night Serpent is like haunting her to make her do the bidding, his bidding, its bidding. And she doesn't fully understand like how her powers are working, or like she maybe isn't in full control of when she uses her powers. That could be exciting. So this is where a background can help develop the character a little bit more. It adds a little bit of inspiration into how you would roleplay a warlock in this case. And so she's haunted by her patron, who has made her a warlock without her full knowledge of it. Like, she's agreed to something, but maybe she didn't realize, like, the fine print that was attached to that. I might even roleplay this character in a way where, like, whenever I'm using one of the warlock spells, it's almost like getting possessed by the patron, and so you're not in full control of what you're doing. And maybe that's the reason that Blake left her society. It wasn't because the the patron told her to. It was because she was doing this like dark magic that she couldn't control, and she didn't want to hurt her family or any of her friends or her community. Or maybe she's not fully aware that she's doing it, and they banished her because they saw her doing this evil magic and were like, no, get out of here. Maybe that's how she be. What do you think? What do you think of Blake? Do you like the idea of having a warlock who doesn't really control their magic? Let me know in the comments if you would have done anything differently on here. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time. Bye!